I asked my own question. Who do we think could be all-pro for the Jets this year? Chalk answer is Sauce, right? You could just stop tweeting for one goddamn day. But my second answer was Will McDonald, second team all-pro.
Yeah.
14, 15 sacks, put on 15 pounds, hearing good vibes in and around the building. Why he's a first-round player. He's already had 10 sacks. Like, why can't he be that guy? Let's see. I don't know. Those are my two takes from the weekend.
Man, I'll say this. I think the tricky part about that question is you actually need to go down the order of and when they ask that, all-pro, second team all-pro counts, right? But you need to go through the actual, like, look at it like this. You ironically would never say Garrett Wilson because you would just theoretically think that he's blocked in a lot of situations, right? Although, I mean, obviously Jamar Chase is like, who is blocking Garrett Wilson? Jamar Chase comes to mind right away.
Hill,
I mean,
Tyreek
Hill. I think Garrett's better than DK Metcalf. Nico Collins.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Although Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be really interesting this year. Okay. He's got a shot. I mean, T. Higgins, you could even say on the same damn team. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though. Maybe it is that, you know, with Diggs out of his prime and away from the Bills now for a while, like he's not blocking it. So maybe Garrett does have a legitimate shot, especially the amount of targets he'll get. So I scale that back. But honestly, going through all these rosters, I'll tell you who has the shot to make first or second team All-Pro. It's Olu Fashanu.
There it
is.
That's who.
Go through all of the tackles in the AFC, and he has every bit of a chance to be a first or second team All-Pro. There is not, like, Laramie Tunsil is in the NFC now.
Yep.
Trent Williams is in the NFC. I'm telling you, it's crazy. Go through every single team. I think Rashawn Slater is his biggest blockade on the Chargers. Olu Fashanu could be an All-Pro this year.
I like this take. I like it.
Yeah, when you just stare at every team in the AFC, there is nothing that should scare you from him having a shot at this. And it's second year, so I want to be careful. I don't expect it. But year 3, if you are asking me a year from now, who has the best chance on this team to be an All-Pro outside of Sauce, because he's done it twice, I think it's Olu.
I mean, look, there's your formula for the Jets exceeding expectations. They have an all-pro left tackle and they have an all-pro edge rusher. And everything kind of falls in around
that's
that.
The game.
You get a Sauce bounce back season. Garrett's good. And it's like, okay, this is a tough team to deal with in the trenches because Will McDonald's got 14 sacks and they got a great young left tackle. Never mind the rest of the pieces on the offensive line. I like living in that world. Hopefully that's the world we're living in. And the Jets are...
Yeah.
7th to 8th in the AFC instead of 13th to 14th. So
this is kind of a funny thing to say because people might cringe at it, but you and I appreciate this player as much as anyone. You kind of want your main to be Calvin Pace.
Yes.
Of this team.
Pace is such a damn good, consistent player.
Calvin Pace was on the Jets.
Linchpin to why those defenses were so good. Did all the dirty work.
From age 28 to age 35.
My God.
And he played... As a 34 and 35-year-old, like in mid-30s, he played 16 games every single year.
Had a 10-sack season in there.
He hovered around 4.5 to 10 sacks, which is in that defense in his role was fine. If you get your main setting the edge like Calvin Pace and giving you 6 to 8 sacks over the next couple of years, and I would temper expectations this year off the Achilles. And Will McDonald is a genuine double-digit sack guy, but not the same level run defender. That's your edge duo for the next 4 years. Yep. Easily. You're going to pay Jermaine, and then there's a time where you're going to pay Will McDonald. You know, it was interesting. I had a question in the Discord asking, like, hey, what, just like off top of your head, what would you trade for TJ Watt? And I was like, I wouldn't. No. And it sounds crazy, right? Because he's a game wrecker. Like, that term gets thrown around too much, but it's somebody that truly... completely destroys the offensive game plan. But the Jets are just not in that phase right now. He's going to be 31 in October. He'll still be a great player for a while. But the Jets as a regime right now, counting the coaching staff, they need to figure out what their foundation is. There's a world where the Jets foundation includes both Jermaine, Will McDonald, Olu Membu, and obviously they are expecting Olu and Membu to be part of that foundation, even though they didn't draft Jermaine and Will McDonald. If those 4 are part of your foundation, it makes everything else so much easier. 2 pass rushers, 2 tackles. That's right at the top of the list. So they're trying to figure out what their foundation is right now. Then next year or even the year after that, so 2 years from now, they'll go trade for that final piece. That's what you do. But you don't try to trade for a piece and then build it up and figure out what you have. Their heads are spinning right now. They need to figure out what are we good at and where are we just completely insufficient right now. And that's what this season's for. But I am, like you, very bullish on the Jets tackle duo and giving Jermaine time off the Achilles. I am pretty optimistic about this edge duo for the long term.
Any podcast we get to talk about Calvin Pace, I'm incredibly happy. Never mind getting to talk about Olu as an
let's close it out with this. Mount Rushmore of most underappreciated Jets. And you and I, we talk about this freaking team every day together for about, 10 or 12 years now. So we can go in the bag here. There's people that'll respond with very obvious answers, but we will go deeper in our bag. Calvin Pace has to be one of the 4.
Of course. I think Pace has. Now, there's 3 other names that come top of mind, but they're too chalk. And they're Bilal Powell, Jeremy Curley, Jericho Cotchery. Too many Jet fans know and appreciate them.
Yeah, it's fair.
Powell,
I even feel Thomas Jones is the same way.
Yeah.
Thomas Jones was the cog of them
from that Jeopardy question. Yes. 2 seasons.
Now, we won't put him on here because he might be too obvious, but he toes the line.
Richie Anderson fits that bill as well.
Man, I think Brandon Moore is a sneaky one.
Yes. Went from the D-line to O-line, was didn't get talked about as much, of course, as Mangold and Brick. And even
he was
Pete
so
Kendall,
good.
Damian Woody, and he was in there. It was awesome. Anytime you talk to, we've had Mangold on the pod, they always mention Brandon Moore first as an underappreciated, awesome part of those teams and why they were so good up front.
Brandon Moore played 10 years for the Jets. His first year, obviously, like you said, he switched from the defensive line. He didn't really play a lot his first year. His second year, he started 13 games. After that, literally from age 25 until he hung it up after age 32, he played every single game, every single year.
It's ridiculous.
That's this has been the Jets. We love AVT. We love all these guys. It feels like guys are just always hurt now.
Yeah.
To play 16 games from 2005 to 2012 at guard, where it's car crash after car crash, is remarkable. I will put Brandon Moore on my Mount Rushmore next to Calvin Pace.
Sione Puha up front.
Man, Sione Puha will. And boy, we would love to have a Sione Puha right now.
Need a Sione Puha.
Need a Sione Puha badly.
Brian Thomas also kind of underappreciated.
Brian Thomas is
not his fault. The Jets took him over Ed Reed.
Yes, Brian Thomas is absolutely one of those guys. Yeah, Puha. Man, what a weird one. A late breakout. Yeah. He was like almost a 30-year-old breakout.
Yeah. Just doing the dirty work up front. Eric Coleman, another decent one to throw around. Solid.
Eric Coleman is a good one. Yeah, I think there's, obviously we'll have people comment, and please do leave, people that we forgot or missed out, but that's a good place to start for sure.
All right, we're going to jump over to War Room. We got some questions to dig into. BadlandsTOJ.com for our next live show. Look at the picture. There it is right there.
It's good.
So get your ticket. They're starting to trickle through. If you get one before July 4th, you're eligible for Jets Jeopardy. Blue Shirts Breakaway going to be there. Our friends from Patreon for some Rangers crossover. We're going to be giving away tickets. There's a bunch of stuff that I've said a million times. Just get the ticket. We're kicking off our week 1 preview. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Get into the Discord. Get to War Room. Connor was in there answering questions for an hour today. You're missing out on that. Got to get over there. Thank you, everyone, and we'll talk soon.